At one point, achieving a nearly mythological status, the Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League has been a topic of pop culture since the theatrical release of the film hit cinemas almost 3.5 years ago. With the story of Zack Snyder's unexpected and tragic exit from production of the film, leading to Joss Whedon reshooting over 80% of the movie, whose release was universally panned, fans had ever since petitioned for Warner Bros. To finally allow Snyder the chance to come back and edit the film with his original footage, and shoot an additional scene or two, to create what is now called Zack Snyder's The Justice League. This new 4-hour director's cut of the film has finally arrived on HBO Max, with many having anticipated its release eagerly, and many also not convinced Snyder would produce anything much better. Where does Snyder's Justice League settle? From the very start of the film, we are shown that Snyder's vision and cut will starkly contrast what Joss Whedon delivered. While many praise the movie for basically being a completely new film, and in many ways it is, the plot is more or less exactly the same. After being warned of an impending doom coming to Earth from Lex Luthor in Batman v Superman, Batman, played by Ben Affleck, sets out to recruit a group of superpowered individuals to help protect Earth. Now that its greatest protector, Superman, portrayed by Henry Cavill, has died fighting Doomsday, also in Batman v Superman. This leads Batman to Jason Momoa's Aquaman, Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, Ezra Miller's Flash, and Ray Fisher's Cyborg, though not everyone is keen on teaming up. When Steppenwolf, servant of Darkseid, arrives on Earth due to the awakening of the Mother Boxes, 3 pieces of alien tech that when united would allow his master to conquer the planet, it's up to these unwilling heroes to unite and protect the Earth. So while praised as a completely different film, it's more or less the same movie, at least in plot. How we get through the plot from point A to point B, however, is what differs, though many of the set pieces are still the same. The biggest changes are the addition of added character development and plot points for both the Flash and Cyborg. More backstory on Steppenwolf and who he works for, Darkseid, less of cringe-inducing comedic dialogue and more cringe-inducing dramatic dialogue, and a lot of drawn-out, over-the-top, and overly stylistic action. Yes, there's a lot of new in this movie. Every scene is original to Zack Snyder, with no scene shot by Joss Whedon in the film. It does change the tone of the story entirely, but in essence it is the same story. Snyder was also granted a 4-hour runtime, which is where the additional depth for Cyborg and Flash comes into play. Yes, the movie is more cohesive now with a better understanding of the characters and plot, but one also hopes anyone given an additional 2 hours to add to a film could provide more characterization and plot expositions. It is how Snyder delivers this extended content that for me fails miserably, though not as bad as the theatrical version. Dialogue, as mentioned, is still horrendous, but instead of goofy jokes, we now get Shakespearean dialogue such as, "This place is toxic, good," and "This red cape charges back." I know I've not provided context for either piece of dialogue, but rest assured, even with the context, they are horrible lines. Snyder's cut of the Justice League is a practice in sheer excess, and why shouldn't it be? This is what he was brought back to do, bring his vision that fans begged for to screen. And Snyder fans will be happy, I'm sure, but that doesn't make the film good. Serious moments are built to only for the mood and moment to be killed by something overtly goofy or unrealistic. Action scenes that should speak for themselves on how awesome they are bolstered by the film's bad soundtrack, whether it's the music actually composed for the film or songs that play alongside the scenes. I always got the idea that a middle school student made a track list of edgy music that would be badass to play alongside a fight scene. In fact, this is how I felt about most of the special effects and fights. With 4 hours to play with, we are treated to all the slow motion Snyder can pack into a film. Because what's a Snyder film without a slow motion scene in the middle of every fight? With horrible character and set design on top of bad CGI, every scene is packed with flashing lights, hard edges, and so much going on that it becomes an eyesore. Ultimately, again, giving me the impression that this is what a middle school boy would make if he could. A movie that was cool and edgy, yet devoid of any substance. Even with the 4-hour runtime and added character development, the movie lacks substance. I still never care for these characters, or feel any emotional connection to them. They are too unrealistic to form a connection with. Yes, we get a more cohesive plot, and I now understand everything the story wanted to tell me, but I just couldn't care. And after having to sit through 4 hours to get there, I was thankful when the movie finally ended. Zack Snyder's Justice League is exactly the overindulgent film you expect from Snyder, and for many who wanted it, it will please. Overall, however, I found the film a chore to get through, as even the scenes that started off well are ultimately butchered by Snyder's lack of finesse. Yes, it's better than the previous theatrical version, and yes, it's more cohesive, but that should have always been the case when given a second chance at fixing a work. Unfortunately, Zack Snyder makes movies like a brain surgeon trying to remove a tumor with a sword. Sure, it can probably be done, but the end result is still going to be pretty mindless. I give Zack Snyder's The Justice League 2 out of 4 stars.